Speaking of dinosaurs, apparently they don't exist according to some people. You got all these maps in our history. People have written this stuff down. People have, carved it out in stone, put it in maps in more recent times. Once upon a time, they used to hang out with us. It's not this dinosaurs died off and we were never around at the same time as them, because there's plenty of evidence around to show that we coexisted. As you can see right here. These guys here we're listening to, they're called the dinosaurs. So there are some real dinosaurs still alive today. I don't know if they're all alive. I haven't heard of this band either. They're a bit funny. They're not bad. As you can see here, plenty of people know about the fact that, the dinosaurs and people used to coexist together. It's crazy. Look at that. There's people in Africa that have stories about it, and they go over there and show them photos. Not photos, sorry, depictions, like that. In books and whatnot. And they, Ma Billy Boombai, that's the dinosaur from the jungle. Yeah, we cook him up and we catch him and eat him, but he's dangerous. Stuff like that. You got pterodactyls and all those sorts of things, flying reptiles. They're described in old newspapers and whatnot. And when the North and South were fighting in America, there's evidence that during that time, many of the Civil War soldiers took photos of themselves after killing pterodactyls and pterosaurs and these sorts of things. And they're putting weird things out of the oceans. And they're being studied, and they're saying, well, they're nothing we really know about. And then you've got them all over these sorts of things, old decorations and art, and pottery, and, it's just, there's plenty of evidence. So I don't know why the flat earth people are going around saying that it's not, it's not real. It just makes us look silly. And that's what I think it's all about. I think it's to discredit flat earthers, if you know what I mean. So when people look into flat earth and they see that we don't, or they think that we don't believe that dinosaurs ever existed, then we look like total morons. And of course we would. But it's just more of the globe attitude. That's what they do. Things that we can see. No, you don't see that. That's not real. That's in your imagination. It's you actually can't really see what's real. Come on. That's a load of crap. If you can't trust your senses and you create some senses to sense what you can't sense, well, then you can only calibrate them in a way to tell you certain information. And they'll only tell you what they're calibrated to sense. So you can't get all the information because we don't know if we have calibrated or designed the unit or machine to be capable of picking up, be capable of reading the whole of what's able to be sensed. But it's just, come on. We can't go around saying things we don't know are true or not. And there's Incan burial stones here, and there's thousands of them. And of course, they've been called, oh no, that's it's like just some art from more modern day. They're not. They're old as. And deny their senses. One minute they can date a rock, the next minute they can't. It's just picking and choosing again. And I know if we go to the Bible, even the Bible talks about dinosaurs. Yes, it does. It speaks of the behemoth. Many will tell you that that's speaking about elephants, because the description. But the description describes its tail as being like a cedar, like the trunk of a cedar wood. That's huge. Elephants have a little tiny tail and a tuft of hair on the end. So no, no, we're talking about elephants. I can't actually think of what animal they'd be talking about if it's not a dinosaur. Could you? Could anybody? Obviously, if you ignore what the Bible's saying, like they do, and interject your own, whatever, you know. But there's just too much of it, too much lying, too much deceit, and too much conjecture. That's the word I was looking for. Here's another truth I'd like to spread, hopefully, because it's not good for you if you trust men on this subject, because many do. Many people idolise, worship, or not so much, but they idolise, they have idols of and depictions of and believe it to be the truth of the matter when it is not. And this is the topic, is the cross. Okay, the definition, the device on which Jesus Christ was executed is referred to by most of Christendom as a cross. The expression is drawn from the Latin crux. Why do publications show Jesus on a stake with hands over his head instead of the traditional cross? You'll find this in different religions, not many, but a lot back in history, especially in the Dark Ages. The reason they used to burn people at the stake was to depict the crucifixion. Stake was one single post. They were tied to it and crucified. Or not crucified. Crucified implies a cross. They were, tortured, murdered. The Greek word rendered cross in many Bible versions, torture stake in the New Translation, is Stauros. In classical Greek, this word meant merely an upright or pale stake. An upright pale stake, sorry. Later, it also came to be used for an execution stake having a crosspiece. The Imperial Bible Dictionary acknowledges this, saying, the Greek word for cross, stauros, properly signified a stake, an upright pole or piece of paling, on which anything might be hung or which might be used in impaling. A piece of ground. Ooh. Or fencing. Even amongst the Romans, the crux from which our cross is derived appears to have been originally an upright pole. Edited by P. Fairbairn, London, 1874, Volume 1, page 376. Was that the case in connection with the execution of God's Son? It is noteworthy that the Bible also uses the word lexon to identify the device used. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'll spell it. It's XYLON. A Greek English lexicon by Little and Scott defines this as meaning a cut and ready for use, firewood, timber, etc. Piece of wood, log, beam, post, club, stake, on which criminals were impaled. Of live wood tree, it also says in the New Translation of the cross, it cites in Acts 5:30 and 10:39 as examples. Oxford 1968, page 1191 and 1192. However, in those verses, translate lexon as tree. Compare this with Galatians 3:13, Deuteronomy 21, 22 and 23. The book The Non-Christian Cross by J.D. Parsons, London, 1896, says, there is not a single sentence in any of the numerous writings forming the New Testament which in the original Greek bears any indirect evidence to the effect that the stauros used in the case of Jesus was other than an ordinary stauros, which much less to the effect that it consisted not of one piece of timber, but of two pieces nailed together in the form of a cross. It is not a little misleading upon the part of our teachers to translate the word stauros as cross when rendering the Greek documents of the church into our native tongue, and to support that action by putting cross in our lexicons as the meaning of stauros without carefully explaining that was at any rate not the primary meaning of the word in the days of the apostles. did not become its primary signification till long afterwards, and became so then. If at all, only because despite the absence of collaborative evidence, it was for some reason or other assumed that the particular stories upon which Jesus was executed had that particular shape. See also the Companion Bible, London, 1855, Appendix number 162. Thus, the weight of the evidence indicates that Jesus died on an upright stake and not on the traditional cross. Tradition, that's the problem. You have to be aware and be aware of and keep ourselves from traditions of men. Historical evidence and origins of Christendom's cross. Various objects dating from periods long anterior to the Christian era have been found marked with crosses of different design. In almost every part of the old world, India, Syria, Persia, and Egypt have all yielded numberless examples. The use of the cross is a religious symbol. In pre-Christian times and among non-Christian people, may probably be regarded as most universal, and in many cases it was connected with some form of nature worship. Encyclopedia Britannica, 1964, volume 6, page 753. The shape of the two-beamed cross, had its origin in ancient Chaldea, and was used as the symbol of the god Tammuz. Being in the shape of the mystic Tau, the initial of his name in that country and in adjacent lands, including Egypt. By the middle of the 3rd century AD, the churches had either departed from or had traversed certain doctrines of the Christian faith in order to increase the prestige of apostolate ecclesiastical system. Pagans were received into the churches apart from regeneration by faith, and were permitted largely to retain their pagan signs and symbols. Hence, the Tau, or T, in its most frequent form, with the crosspiece lowered, was adopted to stand for the cross of Christ. An expository dictionary of New Testament words, London, 1962, W.E. Vine, page 256. Okay, so the cross really comes from Tammuz worship, and they're worshipping they're idolizing, making idols of his initial, the T in his name, and it's a capital T, but they, like they say there, they lower the crossbeam, the top piece down, so it becomes a lowercase t, I suppose, but becomes the cross we all know. It is strange yet unquestionably a fact that in ages long before the birth of Christ, and since then, in lands untouched by teachings of the church, The cross has been used as a sacred symbol. The Greek Bacchus, the Tamarian Tammuz, Terrarian Tammuz, the Chaldean Baal, and the Norse Odin were all symbolized to their voluntaries by a cruciform device. The cross in ritual, architecture and art, London, 1900, G.S. Tyak, page 1. Yeah, I could keep going and going and going because it does. And it talks about how when you see the cross with the circle, you know, the circle around the actual cross piece or around the whole thing, that means, what's it called? The Four Seasons, it stands for. That's what it stands for. And it's to do with the equinoxes and whatnot. And, you know, so it's just the pagan, they've taken on the pagan symbol for season worship, which is sun worship as well, because they follow the seasons, you know, and they do sacrifices and whatnot to appease the gods to get a good season. Well, we all know this. This is not history that's hidden from us. But the problem is the way that it crosses over into Christianity, changes it, turns it into Catholicism, which, if you don't know, that's Roman Catholic. Well, anyone who's got the cross, okay, basically, and the Holy Trinity. I'll talk about that one another time, the Holy Trinity, but for the moment, we'll stick with the cross. And so you just got to, you got to study people. You have to look into it, because a lot of people think that they're worshipping God, and they're not. And it's all about magic and mages and whatnot. And when you see a picture depicting Jesus, well, for starters, we're not supposed to make any idol images and things, or worship them, or even acknowledge them as a holy thing. Because one, we're told not to do that, and two, we don't know if that is a real representation of what it's supposed to be. Like pictures of that are supposed to be of Jesus. That's probably what Satan looks like. So, remember, it's about the images and stuff with the mages and the magicians and sorcerers. And they've done this to us to keep us ignorant and blind to what they're doing. And yeah, and if we all believe the same thing, and our love isn't going to God, where's it going? It's, you know, it's worrisome, but the truth will set us free. Love, honesty, and having eyes that see. This is my aim. Try and give eyes to people. The best thing you can do if you don't know if something is real when it comes to truth of a spiritual matter, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Quit touching the disgusting thing, because you don't know. So until you do, leave it alone. And just thinking you know doesn't mean you do. You have to find original sources. You have to realize that this is Satan's system, and what most people know or think is real is part of that system. Okay? Big hint, big clue. It's, yeah. That one will help you. Just remember, it's his system. And also, I think God knew that truth would be hard to find as we move on, get closer to this time. So that's why he wrote his laws on the hearts of man. And men doesn't mean just the males. In Genesis, as you may know if you've read it, it explains the creation, and then when it finishes, it then breaks it all down and explains each day. You know that, yeah? Well, when it gets to how he explains taking the rib and everything to make Eve from Adam, when he was saying that he's yoking them together and making them one flesh and everything, he says that they will be called man. Okay? He called us man. Okay? So, when referring to man in a sense of Bible reference, they're not just talking about the men. It's men and women. It's sad that women feel left out. The Bible doesn't leave women out. Far from it. And, you know, most of the people that were burnt at the stake just so happened to be when they called them witches and warlocks. What they were actually were doing was they were able to read Latin, and they were translating it for people and explaining that the church was committing heresy, and the church didn't like that, so they said they were witches and whatnot, and got it really out of hand. Okay. So just be careful what you hear, what you listen to, and who you listen to. Some of those people are just pushing stuff out to get hits and to get views. And some of them are doing psychological operations. Right? Think about it. If you were a grad student or a psychological, doing that sort of psychological thing, couldn't you like do a thesis or something on the mental state of people and, I don't know, approach the flat earth from a, I don't know, let's say John Le Bon sort of angle? Because it's a great opportunity for them people. Get in there, mess it all around and see how really screwed up you can get people, and see how people that have found something will then take all that comes with it rather than, learning and studying about it because it's brand new information. But yeah, they know that they're just going to go, boom, snaffle it all up, consume it and spit it back out, just like they do with NASA. Okay, so yeah, be careful of people and be careful people. Okay, well, that's it for me. I love yous all. And, yeah.